is working with negative integers. We want to add and subtract, and then we're going to also move on to multiplying and dividing positive and negative integers. So, let's fill in some blanks. Negative numbers are numbers less than 0. So fill in the word 0 there, please. Integers are whole numbers. Okay, so decimals are not integers, they are decimals. Okay, so integers are always whole numbers. They can be negative, 0, and positive. So all these numbers you see up here, this number line I've got up here, the blue number line, negative numbers, the 0, the positive numbers, that is showing you integers. The number -4 is, if you're saying it properly, is you should read it as -4, not -4, although I use both ways of saying it, and I'm okay with you saying it both ways. -4, -4, we're going to be using both ways. So we're going to label the number line below. So I put the 0 in the middle. So as you go to the right from the 0, we're going to be counting up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. However, as we go to the left from the 0, we need to count into our negative numbers. So -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. But always start at your 0, okay, and go up from there and down from there. All numbers have direction. Okay, and it's the plus or the minus sign that is telling us the direction from that 0. Plus, or a positive number means it's in the positive direction, so on the right-hand side of that number line. But if I give you a negative, a minus sign, it tells me the opposite direction. Okay, so those signs, the pluses and the minus signs, are telling us the direction. Numbers also have a size. Okay, size, or in other words, you could put in brackets there, magnitude. That's a bit of a scientific word, that one. They mean the same thing, size or magnitude. So the numbers 5 and -5, they have the same size, but they are in a different directions. One's on the positive side and one's on the negative side. You see what I'm saying? Okay. So each number, other than 0, has an opposite, and that's what I was just mentioning. So for example, 3 and -3 are opposites. They have equal size, but opposite direction. And the last dot point, we can use symbols to describe how numbers relate to each other. So this symbol here is a less than, and the one underneath is a greater than. Now, I've heard lots of different tricks for memorizing that. So some people like to remember the alligator. The alligator is hungry. If it has its open mouth, it's trying to eat the bigger one because the alligator always wants to eat the biggest thing, all right? Or, one that I like, is the arrow is pointing to the smaller number. The point is always pointing to the smaller one. The alligator is the big mouth, which is what the bigger one. Whichever way that helps you to memorize that. Yeah?
Yeah, I do a thing where it's just like this.
Yeah, there's lots of different things out there. What do you do?
That way, and then if it's that way, you do an N.
An N.
An N meaning.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right.
So I could probably.
Examples. Write down the opposite. Okay? So the opposite of a positive 8 is going to be a minus or a -8. The opposite of a negative number, so -12, is going to be the positive. Just doing the opposite. So that'll be positive 12. List all the integers from -3 to 2. Okay, so that means I want to start with the smaller number, which is -3, and I want to count up all the numbers until I get to the 2. So -3, then counting up with -2, -1, 0, 1, and stop at 2 because that's when I reach the high number. I've listed from -3 to 2. However, be careful with the wording of these questions, because look at part B. It says that I want to list the numbers greater than -4 and less than 3. If I say to give me a number greater than -4, could you say -4? No. It actually has to be the next one bigger than it, okay? So the next one bigger would be -3 would be my starting number, because it has to be greater. Can't be the -4, it has to be greater than -4. And I just keep counting up. So -2, -1, 0, 1. Let's have a think. Less than 3. Can it be the 3? No. So I can stop at 2, but I can't go to the 3. And that's actually the exact same as part A. They were just two different ways of asking the same question. If I said from -3 to 2, from -3 to 2, but when I said greater than -4, it couldn't be the -4, and it still had to finish at the 2 because it had to be less than 3. Just be very careful with the wording, okay? Great. Next page. Arranging the numbers in ascending order. Hands up. Who knows what that word ascending means?
Going up.
Going up, or in other words, smallest to largest.
Do we highlight it?
If you have a highlight or underline it, but you need to know what that word means. Okay, it might be a good thing that we'll put on your cheat sheet later. Okay? So I need to start with the smaller numbers. Now, negative numbers are always going to be smaller than the positive ones. Ronan? Oh, I thought you... Oh, negative numbers are going to be smaller than the positive numbers. So I'm going to start with these negative ones here. Okay, I'm just going to look at those negative ones first. Which one is the smallest, Ronan?
-6.
-6. Okay, when you're talking about negative numbers, the bigger the negative number, that makes weird sense, doesn't it? But the bigger the number is that's negative, the more further this way it is, the smaller it is, down that number line. Okay? So -6 is actually smallest. Then, okay, I've crossed that one off, I've done that one. So I've got -4 and -1 left. -4 is more negative, so it's next. Then the -1. Okay, so I've done all my negative numbers. Sometimes it's good to cross off a few so you can see what is left. Okay, there's a 0. 0 is right in the middle of my number line, so let's do the 0 next. Cross that off. And now we're into our normal positive numbers. I have a 7, a 3, and a 5. So putting them in order from smallest to largest. The smallest of those would be 3, then 5, and finally 7. Okay, be careful not to miss any. Okay, so you can count through. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers, and there's 7 numbers that I started with. You know you haven't missed any. Okay, just be careful. And question 4. Insert the correct symbol to make the statement true. Now, when I talk about a symbol, I'm talking about the less than and the greater than symbols, those symbols, okay? So this is when the alligator thing comes in, if you like that alligator rule, or pointing to the smaller number. So from -3 and 7, one of them's a negative number. The negative number is going to be smaller than a positive number, isn't it? So point to the smaller number, or if you like the alligator analogy, the alligator is trying to eat the 7 because the 7 is bigger. Okay? And the next two, -2 and a -9. Okay? Which one is smaller? Hands up. Jai? -9. Very good. So we point to the smaller number. So that means that -2 is greater than -9. We're pointing to the smaller number. All right? And that's what we're working on today. So we're on our workbook now, page 13 to 16.